Welcome to Both Sides of Beehives. I'm Beth Arts Ives, and I'm really glad you're here. As a neurodivergent and disabled social worker, I'm always trying to make sense of the world around me, understand the themes that are impacting my clients, and relate them back to my own world. In today's video, we're going to talk about my professional and personal experiences with fertility. Some folks call it infertility, other people just call it trying to add to their family, trying to conceive, understanding their family planning options. My professional experiences with fertility and perinatal mental health and folks trying to add to their family started about 8 years ago. One of my dear friends was adding to her family and was experiencing a pretty tough pregnancy that was causing some prenatal or pre-giving birth anxiety for her. And she continued to experience some postpartum anxiety after the birth of her daughter. It really inspired me to go into this field. I then did my Master's of Social Work and I specialized in children and their families, continuing to understand what these factors were that may increase our risks of postpartum mental illness, as well as the factors that can increase our likelihood of struggling based on what experiences we've had leading up. After graduating, I started working with 2 companies that I had been working with as a student, and eventually I started my own practice. And through the last 5 years, I've had the pleasure and privilege of supporting 80 children or more to come into this world, and I've helped clients who have spontaneously gotten pregnant and added to their family, folks who have navigated foster and adoption. I've also had clients use sperm donors and egg donors, and it's been really cool getting to watch folks add to their family in many, many different ways. And it has also given me many different reference points of all of the right ways and wonderful ways that someone can become a caregiver. I've also found that in my work doing fertility-focused therapy and focusing on perinatal mental health, it's also a reminder to me of these are the resources and the examples and all of the great stuff that we can do that sets us up for success. And so I really feel like doing my master's, like it is for many folks, was a protective mechanism for me because it helps me day in and day out to tell my clients the same reminders and permissions and validations that I know I'm going to need. But after all these years of getting to say it to them, I think it has sunk in a way that I really internalized and have taken in on my own, and I think I'm going to be better for it. While it seems a little bit strange now, maybe it was fortuitous, maybe it was serendipitous, but I've been undergoing my own fertility journey for the last year and a half. And so it's been really interesting getting to draw on my professional experience of knowing what tests and assessments and specialists can be involved, understanding the costs associated with infertility and having to go to a clinic, and what surrogacy and donation can require in terms of emotional labor, processing these differences that we might not have expected or seen coming. And I feel that, conception really is miraculous once you understand how much science has to go into it, how many parts are at play, and once you realize you might be missing some of those ingredients. Going through a fertility journey and also supporting my clients with me has also reminded me why, if you are someone who's going through this and you have a partner, it's so important to choose a really great person to spend your life with. I have seen it be a huge test on a lot of marriages, a lot of relationships, because it's so emotionally charged. You feel an urgency and a pressure from yourself, potentially from a partner, from society, from people in your family. Everyone wants to know, okay, you've got the ring, so when are you going to be adding to your family? But also because of my complex health and disabilities, I think we knew in the back of our minds that this maybe wasn't going to be the simplest process for us. And so while I feel really lucky that that isn't something we had to answer to, or we didn't get put in the position where we had to set really firm boundaries with folks or have those hard conversations with people before we were ready, it's a gentle reminder to never ask someone what's going on in their personal life when it comes to pregnancy or a lot of different topics, and to not put your expectations on someone else because maybe they don't want to add to their family. Maybe it's been really challenging for them. Maybe they're in the middle of the treatments or the tests And it's really triggering to be asked that, especially if you're not in the headspace, especially if you've just gotten bad news, or if you don't know someone really well. I feel also really lucky that my husband has been so supportive of our process and that it has brought us closer together at a time when it really could have pushed us apart. I didn't really expect to be a fertility therapist when it came time for me to go through my own fertility journey. And while I'm very happy that a lot of my clients have gone on to have pregnancies, some of them multiple since I started working with them, I was wondering how it was going to feel to be going to my own appointments, to be trying to get my own answers, to be sitting with a lot of the same questions and fears while supporting my clients through it. And I've said it to them, and I'll say it again. My situation has been so complex and so unique that even compared to a lot of the patients at our clinic, this is unprecedented. During my disability video, where I'm going to share a bit more about what the visible and invisible disabilities that I live with look like, it will make a bit more sense how my husband and I got to this decision. But after a year and a half of various tests, consulting with all of my specialists, looking at the different diagnoses I have and how they would impact me and also a child, my husband and I came to the decision at the very end of 2024 that he would be able to contribute to our family and be able to be the sperm contributor, as I've been calling it. And my team is quite confident that I will be able to carry a pregnancy, although it's going to be high risk and there's going to be a number of complications, which has only further made me grateful to be living in a major city and to have all of those resources around where the high-risk team we're going to be matched with that we've already been working with is 15 minutes down the road. And we know it's going to be less spontaneous than it is for a lot of other people, but so much of this journey has been. And when you have chronic illness and disability, those privileges of just getting to wing it and just getting to show up to things is taken away. And so while we had to grieve how that would impact us in pregnancy and fertility, it's not necessarily a shock for us. And we would rather feel supported and feel that my health and safety and baby's health and safety are in good hands. And if it means having a lot of science involved and a huge team wrapped around us, we would much prefer to have it that way. We feel very grateful for some of the people in our life who offered to contribute and give us some of those ingredients that we might be missing. And when one of my best friends offered to be our surrogate if needed, it was one of the most incredible gifts I've ever received in this life. And I will never be able to repay her for that piece that she offered us. And the gift of certainty at a time when it felt really uncertain. And parenthood was so important to me. It's something that I have wanted for so long. And in that moment, I felt like it's a possibility. It's going to happen for us in this way that we are hoping it will, even if it's not going to happen exactly how we imagined it would. With that being said, my husband and I decided that we are going to move forward with egg donation. It just feels like the best path for us with all of my medical complications, with all of my disabilities. We will be doing IVF, and it really feels like the right decision for us in terms of the trying to conceive process, the pregnancy perspective, and then in being a parent to this little one down the road. And so we feel really lucky that we came to that decision both individually and then as a couple, and that we were on the same page based on all of the information and research and expert advice we had consulted with, and that we feel a lot of peace and contentment around it. We were deciding all of these pieces. I realized the best parts of myself I'm going to be able to nurture in our child regardless of their DNA. And there's very few things that are so innate to me in my genes that I can't share them and nurture them and foster them in another human being. I feel like our dog already resembles us in so many ways, and the way that we've influenced each other and made each other better, and just little isms, I know that we can do that for our child as well. And so we started in January on our egg hunt, as I called it, our donor egg hunt. And we feel really lucky that within days of us posting our donor egg hunt, advertisement or update, our eventual donor had posted something very similar, sharing that she had been a donor before and her own journey with it. And we feel really lucky that a mutual friend saw both posts and was like, wait a minute, this might be worth connecting the two about. And I will never forget the day that I got that message from one of my best friends, and just the excitement I felt, but also it feeling so aligned with us. And I took a selfie that I will include in my Instagram post that day. And just knowing, I think this is the person who's going to be genetically contributing to the child we're going to bring into this world. And so over the last 3 months, we have connected with her over email. We've gotten to know her a little bit more. It's been unconventional in that she is a known donor, so she is not anonymous to us. She's not through an agency where we're just a name and a number, or she's just a number. But we don't actually know each other that well. We'd never met before. And so we've now met over video. We've gotten to know her genetics and her health history very extensively for someone that is a stranger to us in many ways. And we feel really lucky that our clinic has approved her to be our egg donor. And so with that rolling, in the coming weeks, we will be having our required counseling appointment, my husband and I, with the clinic. And I'm sure it will be an interesting meeting to go in and say, I'm actually a fertility therapist myself. I ask all of these questions to my clients and make sure that they know what they're getting into and that they feel as supported as possible in making their best decisions. And so it's going to be really interesting to be on the other side of that conversation, as I have been for the last 1.5 years. And we are meeting with our lawyer to get our contract set up, which of course ensures the rights to my husband and I that this is our child, while our donor is contributing with her eggs, and these will be offsprings that she has contributed to. She is not the mom, she is not the parent of our child, and making sure that we, as well as her, feel legally as supported as possible in this process. I've really tried to ground myself in gratitude over guilt throughout this journey, as she has so selflessly offered to sacrifice her body and her eggs and her emotional bandwidth, really, to go through this process with us. And we feel really lucky that it has come very quickly. We didn't originally plan to even start the testing as early as we did, but we knew it was going to be complicated quite early on. And so we decided to just continue on to get all the information that we could to make our most informed decision. And that has meant adding our lovely donor to our network. And after we cross our T's and dot our I's and get all the legal pieces together, we will just be waiting for her cycle to begin, and sometime in early June, it seems, she will have her egg retrieval process after lots of monitoring and medications for the few weeks leading up. And Sam will make his contribution, and in June, the embryos that will eventually become our maybe babies, but we've been advised maybe just baby, will be created. And we are still going to take some time before we transfer and do the IVF process, where the embryo will be implanted in me to hopefully carry that pregnancy. As I said, we're waiting on a bit more information, but we are so thrilled that this is happening. And while it has been a whirlwind of a time in our life, to have this greater empathy for my clients, to feel like I understand them and can advise their supports and those people who are in their corners wanting to help out even better, having gone through it ourselves, and to hopefully, like them, get a happy ending and be able to add to our family after all of this. So if you have any questions about it, please let me know. I'm constantly telling people, if your neighbor's friend's sister is going through IVF or considering egg donation, it's something that I now have expertise on the professional side and personal experience with. And I feel really lucky that we get to be on this, and so privileged that while there's a huge financial cost to this, it's something that we can take on. And I hope we have some more exciting updates to come.